Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my birthday with my dead twin anymore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which story you thought was the most insane? Let's go. Am I the a-hole for wearing my wedding dress to someone else's wedding? 20 years female, married my husband 2 years ago. We aren't rich and don't care that much about weddings, so I wore my prom dress to my wedding. It's not a super fancy dress or anything. It's basically a long sequin dress in deep dark blue with one sleeve. For the reference, the dress my friend Ciara, 22 female, was attending my wedding. Since the wedding, I wore it on a few occasions because it's basically the only one fancy dress I own. Recently, Ciara was getting married and I was obviously invited. The wedding color scheme was dark blue and she requested fancy attire. So I thought my dark blue dress would be fine. It's not white and it's not even remotely close to a wedding dress. I also didn't feel like wasting money on another fancy dress that I would never wear again, especially since we aren't rich. So I showed up at her wedding in my dark blue sequin dress. It wasn't standing out or anything. Most of the guests were wearing even more fancier dresses. However, when Ciara saw me, she lost it. She yelled at me in front of all the guests, in front of her husband and my husband, saying that what I did was horrible and that no one shows up at a wedding in a wedding dress. I tried to reason with her, saying that the dress isn't a wedding dress. It's the only fancy piece of clothing I own. I wore it to multiple occasions before and after my wedding. She didn't listen and kept yelling at me to the point her bridesmaids and her husband started trying to calm her down. Yeah, she also said a bunch of unsavory names to me. I was very upset with the drama and decided to leave with my husband. Then I started getting texts from Ciara, who blamed me for upstaging her on her wedding day, for driving a wedge between her and her husband since he said that she overreacted massively and upset her friend over a dress. I decided to ignore them because I think she is being unreasonable. But a part of me thinks that I was in awe because I wore the dress to my own wedding. Okay, this was story one. Moving on to the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to volunteer as a doctor on a flight? I'm a man, mid-30s medical doctor working as an internal medicine hospitalist at a major hospital. Recently, I was on a long-haul international flight. Usually I sleep on flights, but this was during my waking hours, so I decided to spend my time enjoying the in-flight entertainment and free drinks. Yeah, I had already been drinking even before the flight while I was in the lounge. I was not slurring or excessively drunk, but I was feeling a strong buzz. Usually I don't chat with my co-passengers. I just sleep or do my own thing. On this flight, the configuration of the business class cabin was such that the passengers in the middle row were practically just beside each other. There was just a small barrier separating me and my co-passenger, female mid-30s. That could be raised, but it still didn't do much to separate us. She started up a conversation and being a little intoxicated. I was also feeling chatty. When she asked what I do, I mentioned I'm a doctor and I work at such and such hospital. After some more small talk, we both started doing our own thing. I was trying to watch my movie and enjoy my drinks when an announcement was made asking if there was a doctor on flight. Normally, I would present myself to the cabin crew and help out, but after several hours of on-flight boozing, I was pretty drunk. I was not able to think clearly and probably would have done more harm than good. Such a situation, I didn't react to the announcement at all. I continued watching my movie and drinking my drink. My co-passenger tapped me and said they just announced they need a doctor. I replied that someone else would help or they would get instructions from the medical team on the ground. She tried convincing me to go help, but I refused. She then said I was an unbelievable a-hole, and if the passenger died, it was my fault. I said, listen, lady, just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean this. I'm not on call 24 for medical care on demand. I work when I'm at the hospital. Outside, I'm just like everyone else, and I'm entitled to drink and relax. She had a disgusted look on her face, but didn't talk to me after that. I didn't want to engage with her either. I'm not sure what happened to the passenger who needed medical assistance, but since I didn't hear any more announcements, I assumed all was well. While exiting the aircraft, this lady called me an a-hole again. In my mind, I'm very clear that since I was intoxicated, I could not provide medical assistance. I was drinking on my own time and there was no expectation that I would need to be sober. Doctors get to enjoy life too. I can't stay sober on every flight just in case there's an emergency. I don't think I'm a hole, but I thought I'd get external opinions. Am I the a-hole? Okay, this was story 2. Moving on to the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my birthday with my dead twin anymore? 16 female here, soon to be 17 in 3 days. I was a twin. My brother died hours after birth. He was 5 minutes older than me. I was told my mother went into deep depression, but with help got better over time. I've watched videos of my birthdays from one 6-year-old, and me sharing my birthday with my brother has started at my owner's birthday. There's always that 5 minutes of remembrance in honor of him, and instead of having one candle on my cake, there will be an extra or extras for him. For example, if I was 1 year, there will be one for him, or if I was 2, then they would add another 2 and so on. As a kid, I didn't really understand or mind it because I got to blow out extra candles. When I was 8, I did question it, and they told me it was in remembrance for my brother since we share the same birthday. This carried on till my 16th that I didn't get to celebrate because I ended up in hospital. My grandpa showed up at the hospital while I was recovering with a gift and wished me and only me a happy birthday. After he left, I realized I loved that he only acknowledged me. I realized I didn't want to keep sharing my birthday with my brother, but then I felt guilty. I did try and speak to my parents about me celebrating my birthday this year, but I was brushed off. Now we come to what happened 4 days ago. My grandpa, who is the official cake maker in my family, asked what type of cake did I want. I told him added firmly with only 17 candles, please. My parents were in the next room, and immediately they came in demanding to know what I was doing, that I should know that the other 17 candles were for my brother, and I ended up crying and told them that he's not even here and I am. I can't remember everything that was said, but there was a lot shouting with me and my parents and Grandpa, and me getting told that I'm selfish and I need to stop being self-centered. Grandpa left with me. I've at his house since the big fight. I've been crying a lot, and Grandpa been here for me, but I feel so guilty and to need to ask, am I the a-hole? Okay, this was story 3. Moving on to the next story. Am I the hole for telling my cousin's widow I will no longer be supporting her emotionally or physically? 32 fly female from a small, tight-knit family. There is my family of 4. My parents, my grandmother, my aunt and uncle, their 2 kids and families. We all live in the same area and will do whatever we can to help each other. It's my cousin. Derek, 28 male, tragically passed away a year and a half ago from a drunk driver. He left behind his wife, Mona, 27 female, and 4 kids, all under the age of 8. It was devastating, and Monica completely shut down. We all understood and started caring for her and the kids. This included me no longer charging her rent. They lived in a house I own next door to me, helping prepare meals, taking care of the kids, helping with appointments, schoolwork, shopping, ect. I can't tell you how many times I was her shoulder to cry on. She let me put the kids in therapy, but refused to go herself. On to the now and the issue. As I said, it's been a year and a half, and she is still completely shut down. She doesn't work, she doesn't cook or clean, and I have been raising the kids along with my 2. This isn't sustainable. The kids miss her. They lost their mom the day they lost their dad. I sat her down the other night and was trying to be empathetic towards her, but nothing was getting through. She just kept crying and saying she couldn't do it without Derek. I told her she doesn't have a choice. She has 4 kids who need their mother. She still wasn't listening, but I had enough. I told her she has a week to get an appointment with a therapist before I stopped supporting her and went for custody of the kids. She ran out crying. The rest of our family thinks I'm being cruel because she loved my cousin deeply, but I think this is what she needs. She can't live like this and can't keep putting her kids through this. Yeah, this is story 4. Moving on to the next story. Am I the hole for being irritated with people about my wife announcing being pregnant 4 months after our firstborn? Basically the title, my partner, 25-old female, had our son 4 months ago. He was a happy surprise. We'd been together over 3 years prior to her finding out she was pregnant. For reference, I am 29-old male. We found out a month ago my girlfriend was pregnant. This was a shock. The due dates mean no, our children will be 10.5 months apart, which is obviously uncommon and shocking to us. My girlfriend was shocked and upset. I'm happy at the news as she is worried about being pregnant again and having 2 small kids close together along with hormones. I have been supportive, and we have started to feel the positives of the gift of having a child. We have started announcing to family and friends, all seem to be horrified. Shockingly close gap, I assume, is the reason. In addition, a lot have shouted to blame me. My mother-in-law recently told me this was my fault and I should have been more careful and considerate. I responded something along the lines of, I didn't force or do anything. I also expressed my irritation at her comment. Now my mother-in-law is annoyed with me, and my girlfriend is annoyed as I should have accepted the comments given that it's a shocking thing. Am I the a-hole for reacting annoyed by people being bothered by our pregnancy news? Okay, this was story 5. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you guys in the next video.